Chanjo bada dhane jazonjo dhagi jizo jebe chonamje dhola penje sanje dhobajo sanje chuta suje chunala chanjo bada dhane jazonjo dhagi jizo jebe chonamje dhola penje sanje dhobarisho kange tuze nyezone tawa tanje pangbeje tambe chuno tunzebe kudamde la chanse lo Niende Java Zona Gujani Jeje Tenze Kayin Dan Dola Pemba Jina Lashi Ni Jenje Te Tunru Tseba Ka Kandayanda De Betona Namba Kaden Hatson De Sompa Nido Chanjo Sube Soje Sanje Jino Yung De La Chanze Lo Tobe Tawana Saje Saje Jaji Kumawa Kundo Sambe Zeta Kunen Chola Chanze Lo Gobo Tuji Chende Ba Tamje Chimbe Tumba Bo Gobo Tuji Chende Ba Tamje Chimbe Tumba Bo Sona Yung De Tuji Deshin Shela Chanze Tabi de Janjo Ge Ngeson de Doje, Chido Tanda Chujo Ba, Shinjo Chula Chan, Chone Tura Lion to Lava Dala. Shinga Damayu de Gindula Chan, Dolo Sanje Tola Chandolo, Juba Chula, Gindu, Sola Tata Kuja, Chajo, Tangela, Shindo Kuju Chanit. Ludobayana Gudu Chudo de Bechatsa Lo. Yeah. That's not the teaching. Okay, Tashi Delek to everyone. Now, today, okay, I will firstly just go a little bit briefly overview of what we have covered so far. So Lamrim, it starts with Atisha's story, Atisha's life story, and then the greatness of the teaching, and then how to listen to and explain the teaching and rely on the teacher. And the meditation session and refuting misconception about the meditation and human life of leisures and opportunity. So now we are at this briefly were able to cover up until here human life, not all the way up here. Rely on teacher at the meditation session. So refuting the misconceptions about the meditation. So we're going to cover this and the human life of leisures and opportunity. So these two topics we'll be able to cover in this session. So as we all know that the reason why the Lam Rim started with the greatness of the teacher, the guru who actually taught these teachings, to get to know the teacher. So once you know the teacher and what kind of teacher and how he practiced the Dharma and how he actually put into practice and how he rigorously and diligently learned the Dharma and the order, the way that he learned the Dhamma, the way he actually, the orders that he follows, and how then he was able to synthesize all the essence in simple way, and yet were able to tracing back to the very subtle and sophisticated and very mystical way. So these kind of abilities, special ability to be able to reconcile all the teachings in one and bringing all the different lineages into one. That ability, having such a kind of ability to reconcile or bring all together all the teachings ever possible, bringing in one stream of practice. Such a unique teacher, and that has been revered, or respected and highly thought of by all the schools of thought, regardless. And that unique teacher has been one of the trailblazer of this Lam Rim teachings. And such master, we are so blessed, we are so fortunate to have such a master appeared in this world. And the following students, the other masters comes one after another, holding this lineage, unbroken lineage, without letting that flames to be exhausted, keeping that flames alive up until as degenerated as this time. So we must rejoice ourselves to have this opportunity to listen to the Dharma. And that Dharma is, again, like very succinct and yet very deep, and setting out all the kind of the critical points to create such a way that you are easily having access to the critical point without putting much effort, without having to go through some of this critical, sophisticated learning system. So this has been presented by the Lam Rim text. And that teacher, and then because of these great teachers, we have these teachings. So then if this unique teaching is such that promising us path and liberations and great enlightenment, then how we must listen to this teacher, how we must learn this teaching, how must we understand, and how must we preach these teachings to others as well. So we cover the how to listen, the greatness of the author, greatness of the teaching. In the greatness of the teaching was taught by two categories, like how to listen to the teaching and how to explain the teaching to others. So when it comes to how to listen to the teaching, it is taught by all kind of examples and the related the quotes from the great masters. But one thing I will try to quote from Lam Rim that actually highlights the rest of the points that has been presented in this Lam Rim text. So here at the page 62, we can jump to this page 62. Page 62 at the bottom. Yeah. Yes, the bottom. The thing of the Tathagata as excellent beings develops respect by remembering the one who set forth the teaching, Bhagavan, Buddha. So here it says, number 6, wish that teaching will endure for a long time. Think how wonderful if, in dependence upon studying such teachings, the conqueror's teachings would remain in the world for a long time. Furthermore, so I try to highlight this from this going downward. Furthermore, when you explain or hear the teachings, if your mind and the teachings remain separate, see, if your mind and the teachings remain separate, then whatever is explained will be inconsequential. Hence, listen in such a way that you determine how these teachings apply to your mind. For example, when you want to find out whether or not Whether or not there is some smudge, dirt, or whatever on your face, you look in a mirror and then remove whatever is there. Similarly, when you listen to the teachings, your fault, such as misconduct, attachment, appear in the mirror of the mind, appeared in the mirror of the teachings, that at that time you regret that your mind has become like this, and you then work to clear away those faults and establish good qualities. Hence, you must train in the teaching, the garland of birth stories. When I see the form of my misconduct clear in the mirror of the teachings, I develop a feeling of regret and turn my mind towards the teaching. Yeah, so that's that must be at the crux of, or at the center heart of this, actually, the teachings of teachings on the how to listen to the teaching. It was often taught by giving the examples of 3 vessels, vessels that has been contaminated by the dirt, and if it's contaminated, then the waters pouring inside will be contaminated. And if the pot, if that container has been broken, then that containers wouldn't actually sustain the water that has been put in there. It cannot keep the water. Water will just, the more you put in the water, the more it will just get from the other side of the broken hole. And then other example given is the vessel or the vase or the pot. If you put that pot upside down, then water cannot go through. So these the examples, very like a common example that masters usually use when they give teaching. So you must listen with openness. You must put your mind in a unbiased, unbiased line. So you must examine the teachings as well. So, however, it all comes down to how much impact it has on you. If there is not any kind of impact, if your mind doesn't change, if your mind stays the same, then the teaching is actually not working. So you have to listen to the teaching. You have to listen to the teaching, or read the Lam Rim text, or any kind of the teachings that you will reflect on or read. You must see them as a mirror-like things. Mirror, the teaching of the mirror. They say the teaching is like a mirror where it reflects all the faults that we are doing, that we are engaging in our day-to-day life. From that mirror, we must see our conduct, our misconduct, our misbehavior, our wrongdoing, our wrong views, wrong thinking, all the misconception we will then, clearly displayed in the mirror of the teaching, mirror of the text, mirror of the Dharma. So that gives you, actually guiding you through revealing the misconducts and misconceptions and all the negativities that we always engage in. Some of them are quite obvious, quite noticeable to us, but many of others are not noticeable. We are engaging in some of the heinous crimes of the negative karmas without knowing it. Like abandoning the Dharma, like not necessarily rejoicing, but abandoning, like seeing other dharmas, other school of thoughts, other tradition as useless. Those are like a heinous. Those are actually scores a heinous, on the dire consequences of the karmic, the imprints. You will have to suffer. You will have to face in your life that is coming. Or it could be in this life as well. So yeah, so the practice, the teachings needs to be like listen to that, such that you are actually finding some of those tools to fix your problems. If you are looking for some of the foods that are good for you, then you go ahead and eat them. And if you find some of those are like a poisonous, you avoid eating them. So in the exactly manner, you must look at the teachings and use them. And because of through that teachings, you need to understand what is to be abandoned and what is to be adopted. So it must be like a mirror that reflects your face clearly, and you will then go ahead and clean the dirts and whatever is undesirable spots that there are there. You will remove them with the knowing the negative impact, or knowing the undesirable kind of the tones of the skin that it will bring. So yeah, that's how you are supposed to be listening the teaching, reading the Dharma text, and all kind of Dharma activities needed to be practiced in that way. Yeah. So bringing the transformations, bring about these kind of transformation. If transformation is not happening, if transformation, maybe some sort of a very little transformation, a minor change in your mind, if these are not happening, if these are not even like a begin to happening, then listening to the Dharma is almost like wasting your time. But it's not entirely wasting your time, of course. It gives you these mental imprints. It will leave that mental imprints, and that will be waiting to be nudged up, that waiting to be spring one day. So that it has its own significance, but still, the most important thing, the purpose of listening to the Dharma is to check thoroughly your mind, your mental continuum, your behavior, and changing your behavior accordingly. Let's say some of you, or you are a very angry person, or very angry person. You can actually, through the listen to the Dharma, you need to put some effort to understand the negative impact of that anger, and learn how to cope with that, learn how to contain that anger by practicing the meditation, the breathing, and the prostrations, all these practice, even those like not necessarily applying the direct antidotes to that anger, but sitting in that some of Dharma session itself will help. But you must understand, you must apply them to be helpful to reduce your anger. And listening to the Dharma, going through some of this particular subject, the materials that are being taught here are actually become the contributory factor to tame your mind. So anyway, so that's the manner, that's the way you must listen to the teaching. And then listen to the teaching, and then let's jump over to the after the greatness of the teaching, then there is the rely on the teacher, right? Rely on the guru, rely on the teacher. Fourth chapter, I think it's on page number 70, 69, 67, 68. Yeah, rely on the teacher. So in terms of rely on the teacher, and you must firstly, what kind of teacher that you are actually adhering to, and you are relying on those teachers. And first, you must need to examine examine the teacher and first check on what kind of teacher you are run into, and then see if you are actually and capable of seeing them as your guru or your teacher or your guidance or whatever, to pay respect to pay homage to, and to be in your life as a guide, as a like a north star to take you to the nirvana. Once you develop such respect, then you can go ahead and see him as a like your guru, your teacher, your one with the deity. But before that, you mustn't rush into, taking anyone as a like a guru or especially when you take empowerment. Yeah. So, and like I said earlier, I think I indicated earlier in one of these sessions that the purpose of looking up teacher as your guide, and then eventually to expand your faith, expand your determinations and commitment, extend to which you are able to see your teacher as a guru, as a deity, and as a Buddha. So that is, you have to get there, you have to get there step by step, and developing some kind of faith in the Sangha and Dharma friends, and then Dharma teachers, and then gurus, and then step by step, it's going to developed into such a full, grown like the faith or the commitment, where you will then be able to look up teacher as a deity, and then receiving the empowerment and other, tantra and the practice as well. So that's how incrementally you will develop, you will advance your faith and commitment, and seeing the teacher as a guru and deity and Buddha. So so that's how the training, you always see whatever the faith, whatever the the realizations that has been taught are somehow needed to be looked at something that can be achieved through constant training, through training. The skills that are trainable, mind is trainable. So you are not like a permanently what you are now. There is a possibility that you can somehow someday become someone that is you are unimaginable at the point of time when you are not there, right? Yeah, that's how you must look at those teachings. When you look at some of those, those claim to be higher teachings, higher realizations, and you mustn't feel daunted because of these higher teachings are so difficult to fathom, so difficult to achieve. It is anything that is difficult, anything that is a great things are achieved through small step at a time. So our daily practice make a huge difference. It eventually build up and then become a great practice, and it will deliver a great realizations in your mental continuum. And yeah, so you mustn't give up. You mustn't easily lose your mind, easily lose your hope, and you must look at always a brighter side of what you have done so far, and then that will spur you, that will encourage you to do more. So the teacher, relying on the teacher, you must first examine the teacher, what kind of teacher you are getting, and what kind of students you are to that teacher. So then rely on the teaching and tantra, and you understand that the main reason, the primary purpose of looking up your teacher as a guru, as a deity, is to actually train your mind to be able to look every sentient being as a deity. one with the deity. It's not just confined only to the teacher or the guru, because once you see the guru as a deity, then that way you will able to see other sentient beings, all the sentient beings as a deity in a much easier way. Because you have your teachers, you look up their teachers and you put effort to try and look up them as a deity, and then eventually it is at some point easier for them to see them as a deity. And then the purpose of again is to eventually develop the ability to see the Buddha version of all the sentient beings, Buddha version of accessing the Buddha version of yourself, and then thereby accessing the Buddha version of other sentient beings. Eventually, you are going to build your own paradise or your own mandala, your own Pure Land, where everybody in that mandala is Buddha. And that's how, since you eventually going to wake up to that reality, since you are eventually going to attain that Buddhahood, and from that Buddhahood, from the lens of that Buddha, and you will see everybody as a deity, everything as like a pure kind of substances. Everything is like a pure and purified by the negativities of misconception, like a negative stains of negative karma or negative thinking, negative mental imprints. Everything is purified. Everything is devoid of, everything is lack of all the negativities. And from there, those kind of pure land, the pure existence, that is the natures of the things, and even the trees and birds that you see in that mandala, in that kingdom, are simply manifestations of that pureness. See, so that's how you actually eventually gonna go. But to prep to go to that kind of a level, you are actually training from a very base, and then eventually to be able to go there to access that most subtle the mind, from where you will see yourself and everyone as a Buddha nature, everyone as a Buddha. Okay, so that's the purpose. Another thing is that rely on the teacher. That's that, and then rely on the teacher. I will see these as a very auspicious, because rely on the teaching, rely on the teacher is actually the beginning point of the Lam Rim, actual practice of the Lam Rim. And then actual practice of the, not just Lam Rim, actual practice of general practice that are associated with the Tantrayana. And then actual Lam Rim teachings actually begins with the preciousness of human life. That's where the learning begins. But in between, there is the meditation, refuting misconceptions about meditation. Okay, refuting the misconceptions about meditation. That is on the page number 109. Refuting misconceptions about meditation. Yeah, refuting the misconceptions. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's page number 100. Actual session. Yeah, meditation session, and refuting the misconception about meditation. Yeah, refuting misconceptions about the meditations. So I'm not going to go through the text what we usually do, and the meditation, refuting why it is being taught in that extensive way, is because people always have of course, ideas about the meditation, and Tsongkhapa sees Tsongkhapa actually, when he examined through the meditation practice that that is being practiced, and all different schools of thoughts, all the kind of practitioners, and he saw there's a lot of misconceptions going around. So these misconceptions is mainly around mistaking the mistaking the stability as mere like a meditation. You see, what he actually brought up is there's two things that are very important. Not only just the stability, but also the clarity is very important. Tsongkhapa actually, stress more on the clarity part, because many times he will see the meditators do the meditations and dwelling in that peaceful. Let's say specifically this one is about a single pointed meditation. You have an object that you place your thoughts on, and then once your thoughts are able to stick to that particular object long enough, let's say for 5 minutes and then 10 minutes and then 15 in 1 hour, but you sometimes somehow you loses that kind of clarity, but you are dwelling in there, your mind has been fixed on that particular object, but there is no clarity. There is more like a dull mind, and that is actually yes, there is a great amount of focus, but the clarity is not much there. Therefore, the jingwa, the goba, sinking mind, they call it sinking mind, jingwa, the sinking mind. Somehow, sinking mind that are quite stable are somehow mistaken as the good meditation. That's where it went wrong. So in order to, why it is important? Yes, if your purpose of meditation is just to have a, like a calm mind, just to generate some calm mind and just to, release your stress and anger a little bit for your health purpose or for your mental, health purpose. If you are practicing the meditation in that fashion, in that purpose, and then just a little bit of stability would work, will serve that purpose, and it is perfect for that. What I am actually arguing is that such meditations that actually involves sinking but stability, if these meditations are mistaken as the pure meditation, then the real purpose of meditations cannot be fulfilled, because real purpose of meditation is to actually discerning the wisdom through the brilliant focus. So in order to develop that brilliant focus, you need to have that clarity. If you don't have that clarity, then that stability would be more like a dull, or would be like a blunt that cannot cut through the misconceptions that are actually the target, the real target that needs to be cut through utilizing that brilliant focus with brightness, with clarity, and that's how you can blend it with understanding of the wisdom, understanding of the ultimate reality. Therefore, the clarity is very important. So, because mainly to clarify, mainly to remove that kind of misconceptions, mainly to actually reject that, to be that particular meditation stability with the sinking mind to be the real meditation, in order to reject, in order to falsify that one to be the meditations that are being recommended in the text, that will be using, that are somehow needed to be used, that need to be developed in order to actualize the realizations that we are actually looking for. And that realization will then become a path and cause to bring about the real transformations, and then going ahead through all the paths, and eventually lead you to the nirvana and great nirvana and enlightenment. So in order for us to access through those paths, we need to develop the meditation such that is actually accurately have the capacity to uproot the root cause of the samsara. Thereby, you will be reaching nirvana. So that's the main thing. That's the misconception. So, in short, meditations, single-pointed, with stability, quite stable, but not clarity, is not the meditation that we are recommended as a practitioner to access the higher path. Therefore, Tsongkhapa stress more on the importance of the clarity. The clarity is as important as the stability. Stability and the clarity must go together. Okay, so that's the main and the takeaway that you can actually get from this this section, refuting misconception about the meditation. Okay, now we're going to jump to the human life of leisure and opportunity. Page number 117, I guess, 117. Yeah, chapter 7, human life, leisure and opportunity. Okay, we still have time. Okay, let me take some questions in between. If you have any questions, let me take some questions. Yeah, so if you
I think, Geshe-la, I think you can continue.
yeah. Yeah. Human life of leisure and opportunity. Yeah, the human life, precious human life, a human life of leisure and opportunity. So it has the human life. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. The stages of how the students train their minds after they have relied on the teacher. One. Yeah. And exhortation to take full advantage of a life, leisure, and opportunity. And then, yeah, identification of leisure and opportunity. Leisure, opportunity. 5 aspects of opportunity that train to yourself. Okay. Advantage of leisure and opportunity. Advantage. Can you go a little bit down the next page, 118? Identification of leisure and opportunity. Yes. Identification, leisure and opportunity. So there's the identification, identity to what kind of a leisure or what kind of opportunities we have. So, and the verses, summary of the perfection of wisdom in 8,000 lines. 8,000 lines, yeah. versus Summary of Perfection of Wisdom in 8,000 lines, says, through ethical discipline you eliminate the 8 conditions that lack leisure. And many circumstances in a life as an animal, through it you always attain leisure. According to this, leisure means freedom from our rebirth in any of the 8 conditions that lack leisure. These 8 conditions are stated in the friendly letter, Nagarjuna's friendly letter. To be born with wrong views, that's one. To be born with the wrong views, without a congruous word, or as an animal, a hungry ghost, a hell being, an uncultured person in a border region, a stupid and mute person, or a deity of long life, is to be afflicted by one of the 8 faults that are conditions which lack leisure. After you have attained leisure, which is freedom from these, strive to end birth. So, to end birth. To be reborn, wrong view, the uncultured person in the border region, uncultured person in the border region, helping Tetamalo. Uncultured person in a border region. That means okay, let me see. Sorry, sir, I can't find it from Latin text. Yeah. But Tanjo Samba. Mokombaji, shitting this, Latin. So, the money, Jewa do, Jewa she, Jewa the Jewa becomes a cheese, but then shitting less, lover towns in the Tunduni, Dani, the Yawaji, Javi Kami, but a taco to Lalu Jewas. The uncultured person in the border region. You takup to be born with an uncultured person in a border region. So here it's, I don't know what actually, why English translation is funny. Uncultured, Mokomba Jibat Jesum, Mokomba Jetato, Mokomba Shitting, Lobaton, Tatuni, Daniel, Javikame, but takup to Lalu. Takup, it's in Tibetan, it says takup the being born, reborn in the border region. Okay. That actually means, you highlight this, being mute. Takopto means uncultured person in a border region. Border region, Takop, it's not a border region, why it says border region in English translation. Takopto, like a more remote. Takopto, where the Buddha's teaching is not available. Buddha's teaching is not introduced. So that kind of a place, you Takopto means. So here, with these With three of these eight, you are unable to know what to adopt and what to cast aside. Being reborn in a border region in which the four types of followers that Buddha's followers, like ordained monk and nuns, novice monks and nuns, are not active. So the teaching not available, and those who practice the teachings are also nowhere to be found. So that kind of place is takup, you takup those. That is the takup. Why? I don't know, the uncultured person in a border region. Okay, maybe you understand it better. It doesn't make sense to me because of my limited English understanding. Maybe an uncultured person in a border region. Okay, you takupto, that's what it means. So you are not born as those who holds wrong view, not as an animal, not a hungry ghost, and you are not a hell being. You are not in that uncultured person in a border region, and are stupid. You are not stupid, mute person, and you are not in a deity of long life. So yeah, so those are some of the very fortunate. When we must look at them as as if there are some of the place you will wind up being born, right? If you look at them just okay, whatever, discounting, and some of those places here and there, animal, if you look at them as a quite unrelated to you, then it wouldn't make huge sense. Otherwise, let's say if you are about to take a birth, imagine if you take birth in a hell realm, it would be a disaster. And then imagine you're born in an animal realm. Animals, it's not like you can't imagine animal always to be like the dogs and cats about a pet, no, animals realms, it's always sufferings. One kills another, become a prey to the predators. So all these sufferings, unimaginable sufferings that animals have to go through. Most animals live in fear, always in fear. So the sufferings of animals, unimaginable sufferings, unbearable sufferings that you have to go through, and there's no opportunity for the Dharma practice, let alone Dharma practice. They don't have any other opportunity to actually understand the life and bigger pictures. So anyway, so that's how we are fortunate not to be born in that realm. No, same case with the long life deities that are too long, they live too long. Eventually, they used up all the virtues accumulated for many past lifetimes, and then used them up. Then just used up then they had been depleted because there's been used up to manifest those deity realms, and then eventually once these kind of accumulated merits, that hard-earned accumulations of the merits have been depleted, only place you would go back is lower realms, animal realms, and most likely hell realms, because those virtuous things has now been gone from your store of the karma, and then only thing that is left is the negative karmas, and that will propel you to be born in the lower realms. So that's how we are fortunate. We have this leisure, freedom from the sufferings and the disadvantages that they are going through. That's how we are freed. We are enjoying this leisure, respite from those unbearable sufferings. Yeah. We are not being born in the place where Buddha's teaching doesn't exist. And it's sitting there. That is the and that is the devoid of freedom from those eights are the eight leisures. Freedom from those eight, those eight are called, like eight leisures that we achieved. Now Jowachu, and then what is another Tawajit and Jowachu opportunity, 5 aspects of opportunity that pertain to yourself. There's 10 opportunities, right? 10 opportunities, 8 leisures and 10 fortunes that we enjoy. The 10 leisures or 10 opportunities that we enjoy has been further categorized into 2, the 5 aspects of opportunity that pertaining to yourself. Being human, right? Being born in a central region, that means central region here means where the Buddha's teachings available. Even the Buddha teachings are intact, and Buddha's teachings are being practiced, and the lineages are being passing down, and you have access to those Buddha's teaching. So having complete sensory faculties, your sensory faculties are intact. Your sensory faculties has this ability to actually understand, perceive the Dharma, comprehend what is being taught, and you are capable enough to understand some of those. Specifically, these Lamrim teaching actually presented more of those complicated teachings in a simpler way, and it's like presented in your bite size, and it's readily available for you to take on. Yeah. Jowa chu jowa ranjo nga meni bi telo isjiba. Okay. Niba tanjo chowa jowa nga shinjuru nga. Then another 5 opportunities. Maybe you can go a little bit down. 5 aspect opportunity pertain to others, right? 5 aspect of opportunity that pertaining to others is that a Buddha has visited, that the sublime teaching is being taught, that the teaching remains, and that there are those who follow it, and that there are caring for others. Sanji Chunda Te Tamchu, Sanji Chunda Tamchu Te Temba Neta Te Jinju Shenji Hinitsuo Oshibo. Let's go through a little bit of the. Among these that a Buddha has visited or is appearing means that a Bodhisattva has accumulated the collection of merit and sublime wisdom for 3 countless aeons. Imagine, 3 countless imagine, and has reached the heart of enlightenment, that is become a perfect Buddha. That the sublime teaching is being taught means that a Buddha or the disciple of that Buddhas are imparting the teachings, that the teaching remains, means that is not degenerating between the time of someone becoming Buddha and giving the teachings until the Buddha passes into final nirvana. Furthermore, the phrase refers to the teaching at the time its followers achieve it by knowing the ultimate sublime teachings. See that? So yeah, yeah. So these are some of the very in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day practice, you must reflect on them. How? You must incorporate these understandings, to go through all these teachings, go through all these points that are being made here, and somehow your mind will then build up some sort of overall understanding of how important, how lucky we are, how fortunate, and how enjoying these leisures and opportunity that are very difficult to achieve. So since seeing those things, and it will then encourage you, and it will then spur you to practice the Dharma and utilize this very rare opportunity to be very meaningful. Utilize this to be very meaningful in the sense that you practice the Dharma. That's how you make the life very meaningful. And as much as possibly avoid those negativities. If you're a very angry person, try and reduce that anger and develop patience, eventually compassion, loving kindness. Now here, the main practice, the real practice here you are supposed to be doing is actually observing the karma, observing how you go with the rule of law of karma. See, law of karma needed to be observed. Law of karma needs to be very mindfully followed. And that's actually the real practice. Okay, if you do these things, there is a consequences of this karma, and therefore you are deterring, you are keeping yourself, you are try to preventing yourself from engaging in those negativities, through anger, and then through using harsh words, and eventually to the point where you go ahead and kill sentient beings and other lives. So that's how you actually try to address these from the very root, that is from the emotion, the cognition, actually, understanding, misconception, the anger, attachment, all these things actually arises from a misconception, misunderstanding, wrong applications of your wisdom. So, that's how you practice the Dharma. Okay, so I will take some questions from here if you have any questions.
Geshe-la, can I ask the question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, my question is, we are talking about guru devotion, and this is when the guru is alive. How should you practice when the guru passed away? Then in between this period, let's say your guru reincarnated and come back as a young seed. So how do you actually continue it? Because your guru is actually in another form already.
Okay. Yeah, so when you guru passed away, let's say guru passed away, and then yes, we all have a guru somehow, some guru that has been passed away. But for your practice, from your perspective, a guru is still alive. You must see the guru as still present. So guru deity, and deity, the guru is same with the deity, and looking up as a deity and as a Buddha, if you are capable of looking up as a Buddha. But at least, that the Buddha's presence or your guru's presence must be very fresh. Because, so let's say once the guru has been passed away and then there's reincarnation. Now reincarnation of that guru, somehow it's difficult to look up that reincarnation as a real guru. Many a times people find it difficult. But what happens is that gives you some sort of hope that you never know the depth of the person, even the reincarnation. Reincarnation might show some sign of great beings. And there you will then have a chance to generate faith in them, generate your, kind of commitment to that guru and seeing them as a manifestation or manifestations of guru, a part of guru, or maybe not if you can't. Anyway, so it depends. When you see a good sign in them, you rejoice them and see them as a guru and the continuations of a guru's mind and serve them and receive teachings and help them to grow in a great beings again. And if that reincarnations, doesn't act accordingly or doesn't a little bit corrupted, or you see some sign of a really naughtiness that is going on, then he or she may not be the right reincarnation, but still the legacy is going on, at least legacy is going on, and somehow, you can't say all the reincarnations are the correct reincarnation. Well, let me tell you a story about reincarnation. One of these lama actually disappeared from his monastery, and then he actually, I don't know, he disappeared for long time ago. He disappeared. It's been so long that he could have been now, passed away already. So then the monastery decided to find out like a reincarnation, and they found a reincarnation. So that reincarnation, the kids actually, shows all kinds of signs of the previous lama, and he knows many things that they don't know, and that some of the personal items were recognized by that tuku, that reincarnation, that Yangtze. And then, okay, they were so happy that our lama is eventually came back, and then they're so happy they, did the ceremony and everything, put him in a monastery and kind of worship him. And then after some time, the lama came back. Lama came back, and everyone was surprised. The lama came back, and how come there's a reincarnation? The lama says, "Oh no, it's of course right. He's the reincarnation for my dog." So sometimes, that happens. So it's just a reincarnation of my dog. Yeah. So but many lamas actually recognize some of them as a tuku as well. Even His Holiness doesn't say he always like the continuation of all the previous Dalai Lama. And many tukus, they admit that they are not reaching at that level like the previous Lama, but they believe, they actually admit that they believe they have a special connection with the great master that once appeared. And because of that blessing, special connection, I might have this honor to this legacy. I might have a special connection to carry on the legacy, so that at least it will protect, it will actually preserve and share these kind of legacies that are coming down from the particular masters. Each masters have their own unique way of, accessing the realizations and teaching the Dharma and practice, and all these, the legacy has now been passing down to a person that has a special connection with that previous guru, and now he is responsible for carry on them, and sometimes they are successful, sometimes they are not successful, some other times they are even worse. In worst case scenario, they could be actually corrupting the lineage as well. Yeah. I hope that helps. Does it helps?
Yeah, thank you, Krishna.
Yeah, some lamas sometimes reincarnated, and they, the people are like, I don't know, for some reason the reincarnation, tuku, yansi, yeah, but somehow those lamas reincarnated in some other forms, like other geshes or other layperson, like some businessman. So Bodhisattva take birth in all kind of forms in order to, let's say, some of those business person who actually dedicate whole life to preserve the Dharma. Those could be some of the reincarnation of those lamas as well. Bodhisattva, they see the importance of the Dharma. They see the critical situation of the Dharma, and then they want to dedicate whole their life, whole their properties, belongings to sustain the Dharma. And that's dedication. Bodhisattva was sometimes reborn as a king, as a minister, as a business person, even some of the entertainers. Yeah. So you mustn't, too much focus on the reincarnations that are always like a real reincarnation. But anyone who is capable of giving the teaching, not only just giving the teaching, but seriously taking the Dharma very seriously, taking the Dharma to the heart and practice them, and Yudulba, that one who is being actually tamed by the practice and looking the sentient beings with that lens and with that determination, with that practice, with that realization, then you can look at them as actually I'm 100% sure that they are reincarnation of great masters in their previous life. So yeah, it's the system is strange sometimes. The system, Tuku system, and we have these things, but eventually it depends on your individual practice. For us, we do not necessarily go to a Tuku to be the teacher. Anyone who you feel connected, that's your teacher. In the monastery, yes, system is such that, okay, Tukus are lives in a little bit higher, and then other teachers. But when it comes to individual, not necessarily Tuku. Even their Tukus go to some geshes, not necessarily Tukus. Many geshes, or senior teachers, or not necessarily the geshes, but some like a ordinary monk. They appear to be ordinary, but they are great practitioners. Those are also worthy of being your guru and teacher. Those are needed to be respected higher than the Tuku. Right? Okay. So that's that. Then let me take a couple of minutes to explain why I said I'm going to leave. I didn't know that it's become such a big deal. I mean, like a bombshell that I dropped, and everyone was took off guard and taken by surprise that I'm leaving. Okay. So the reason is that I thought you guys already knew what is going on. You guys are looking for a teacher. So it's actually a good news that you have a teacher. Excuse me. Resident teachers are coming there, and I'm pretty sure they are greater and they are better than mine. So I thought, okay, I'm going to leave for a while. Since Kungala told me that there's a few of you showing great interest in my teaching, the way I do the teaching, and I'm really honored by and touched by that. And I hope I'm determined to come back whenever. However, you need me. However, I become, help. I will love to do that, but I don't know whether I continue this Lam Rim or not, because other teachers will carry on these teachings, and I don't want to get in their way. So, of course, I will come back and, continue my contributions as much as possible, and we'll see what happens when actually the resident teacher came and everything is going smoothly. Then maybe atmosphere is different. So maybe I'm not going to be needing anymore. So we'll see later on what happens. And yeah, I'm so sorry to leave you guys like this, but I'm also glad that we already established a connection. And I see the auspicious sign as a starting teachings of the Lamrim through relying on teachers, and then the actual session started from the relying on not the fortune and leisures opportunity that we attend. So on this beautiful auspicious note, I'm going to end my sessions here. Okay, and hopefully I'm looking forward to come back and do maybe some other topics, or maybe in general practice of the teachings, lamrims, how you as to how you actually put into the practice these extensive teachings in your daily customized way. Okay. All right. Thank you. Then let's do the conclusion dedication.
Okay, prayers after teachings, mandala offerings. This ground is anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the four continents, sun and moon. Visualizing it as a Buddha field, I offer it so that all beings may enjoy this pure and Idam Guru Ratna Manakalamiya Tayami. In the snowy mountain paradise, you are a source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chen is in unity until samsara ends. Praying for teachers' perfect health, praying for teachers' each year's life, praying their wounds will go and spread. Bless me never to part from them. Through this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of Guru Buddha, so that I may be able to bring all beings to this very enlightened state. May the precious Buddhi mind not yet born arise alone, may that born have no decline and be increased forevermore. Just as the blessed Buddha past is dedicated, just as the blessed Buddha present is existence dedicating, just as the blessed Buddha future dedicate, will humbly learn, follow, and dedicate likewise. Regions where the supreme precious Dharma has not spread, where it has spread but then declined, may I eliminate that treasure of happiness and benefit with a mind deeply moved by good compassion. May anyone who merely sees, hears, remembers, touches, or talks to me, free in that very instant from all suffering and abide in happiness forever. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, lead them may I too light to dispel the misery of the world. May I be a protector for those without one, a guide for all travelers on the way. May I be a bridge, a boat, and a ship for all those who wish to cross the waters. Venerable compassionate Guru, you see your blessings that all karmic debts, obscure and suffering of modern sentient beings, without exception, ripen upon us right now. They give our happiness and virtue to others, and thereby all invest all beings in bliss. Venerable compassionate Guru, you see your blessings that all karmic debts, obscure and suffering of modern sentient beings, without exception, ripen upon us right now. They give our happiness and virtue to others, thereby invest all beings in bliss. Venerable compassionate Guru, you see your blessings that all karmic debts, obscure and suffering of modern sentient beings, without exception, ripen upon us right now. May give our happiness and virtue to others, and thereby invest all beings in this. Keshala, thank you. Thank you for your teachings. Also, hopefully next time, if either we do the Lam Rim or we go for some text that focus more on how to develop them using the Lam Rim topics to actually for meditation. Because I think, as you can see, right, one of the texts there they say that over here he said that therefore you should create another concise presentation of what to sustain in meditation. He said the Lamrim this part. This is page 116. So maybe we go for some text that could also let us have a bit of, how to sustain this in meditation, depending. Okay, Geshe-la, over to you for your dedication. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Jawa kunda yanda lama dame chujo bala lonjo che sa dalam che yonde da doje changa ko ban yo do sho janjo sunjo rumbo che manje pa da je ju jawa nyamba namba ya ko ne ko do pe wa sho pa de la me namba ta ba ke ji zan lo me che jinze lebo to me go je la me chen la san lan jo por sho jaba ba we che ter chamba da kundo som ba tian ti je ne da kunjo je su da lo che ke wa da ta je ra to mo kan ra we ko we shen kan so pen da de wa ma lun ju ne 제렌서 띵지 장소에 샤베 센테 파도 땡주로치. Okay, thank you. Bye bye
Okay, thank you,
everyone.
Geshe-la.
Thank you, Vishla.
Okay, bye bye.